In 1987, Frank Previte, John DeNicola, and Donald Markowitz took home the Academy Award for Best Original Song for their work on Dirty Dancing. The song that won the award was I've Had the Time of My Life, performed by Bill Medley and Jennifer Warnes, or Warnes maybe. This song wasn't Previte and DeNicola's only contribution to the film. Their other song features prominently in a dance training montage and is so strongly linked to the film that it seems impossible that it wasn't written explicitly for that scene. It wasn't, though. The horny montage track started out as just another track on what would be the last album for Frank and the Knockouts, a 1980s pop rock band that experienced minor success with their top 10 hit, Sweetheart, in 1981. In 1984, the label they were under, Millennium Records, had folded, and the band put out their final album, Makin' the Point, in 1984 under MCA. The album was a flop. Weird sentence. Previte put together a demo reel featuring the hit song and was shopping around for a new recording contract when he got a call from Jimmy Yenner, former head of Millennium Records. Quote, Jimmy asked me to write a song for this little movie called Dirty Dancing. I told him I didn't have the time, and he said, make time. This could change your life, said Previte. Along with I've Had the Time of My Life, Previte submitted his demo track, which Yenner felt was a perfect hit for the film if he got the right performer for it. Like the inciting incident for a classic action film, Yenner made a call to a man he had worked with before, a man who had put the performing life behind him. Eric Carmen, former frontman for the Raspberries. Quote, at the point when that happened, I had moved back from Los Angeles to Ohio and decided to concentrate on being a songwriter. I'd become disillusioned with the idea of being an artist. I only learned to sing because I had to. I never really liked my voice, and I still don't really. So I decided I'd just be a songwriter. I'd be in Ohio and have a normal life. One day, my former producer, Jimmy Yenner, called and he said he was working on the film Dirty Dancing. He had this one song, and he thought I was the guy to sing it. He sent the tape. It sounded like Air Supply with Led Zeppelin's drummer. It was very strange. But through it, you could hear there was actually a pretty good song in there somewhere. The next thing I knew, Dirty Dancing sold 15 million albums, and all of a sudden, I was a performer again, said Carmen. Like Carmen said, the Dirty Dancing soundtrack was a massive commercial success, as was the single he sang and produced on. The track hit number 4 in the Billboard Hot 100 and even managed to chart at number 82 in the UK, based solely on Brits importing the single as it was not commercially available locally. Now a classic song, one can't help but wonder, if this track was written today, would it have been called Thirsty Eyes? That's right, we're talking Hungry Eyes by Frank and the Knockouts on Cover Me. That's right, it's Cover Me, the only podcast that compares famous songs to their many cover versions to find out which one has you in its sights. I'm your host, as always, The Snake, joined by my hungry co-host,
Alex Mildenberger.
Alex Mildenberger, what's poppin'?
What is poppin'? I'm just surprised that this is not from, the motion picture Dirty Dancing. That's the big one for me.
I am still shocked that it's not, built for... This was as big a shock as finding out that Natalie Imbruglia didn't do the original version of Torn.
Yeah.
It was big. You're kidding.
And our edict for doing songs for movies was they should probably be made for the movie, right?
Yeah.
And we were Hungry Eyes from Dirty Dancing. Yeah, obviously, Hungry Eyes from Dirty Dancing. And no, I guess not.
So clear, even in the production, it's kind of simple. It's just driving rhythm. You're okay, yeah, they did this to make a montage for the dancing that shows that while the two are leads are doing this to help pay for an abortion, they're also doing it. They're also falling in love as it's happening. Boom, Hungry Eyes. It seems tailor-made. It's insane that it's not.
I don't know how.
Yeah, so our way of saying oopsie, but we're still going to talk about it because it's a great song and it is, I think, so strongly linked to the film and wouldn't be known if not for the film. So here we are. We're talking about it today. Alex, you a big Dirty Dancing fan?
I really like this movie. I've only watched it once. I watched it a couple of years ago, but it was oh yeah, I get it. This is a classic for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
It clicked,
It's crazy because, I only watched it, I think, for the first time in 2020. I knew, all of the soundtrack basically before that, as a child, because that's the cultural impact it had.
Yeah.
And it's a tight, I actually just watched it while I was editing the podcast this week. And it's a tight hour and a half. It moves at it's a delight. It's so good.
Yeah, I really and I wasn't, I knew it was considered a classic, but I don't always go for romantic movies. But no, No, it's totally solid movie.
Yeah, solid movie. One of the best movies about abortion out there, probably.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other movie I've seen about abortion, but yeah, this is a top competitor for me. Alex, you know Frank and the Knockouts at all?
No. I was debating whether it was Frank or because there's an E. It's like Frank.
Yeah, so is it
with an
supposed
E
to be
on it?
Frankie?
Like
I
Frankie?
just looked at a pronunciation thing and it said Frank Previte, and I was like, cool.
I mean, that
I'll take
sounds
that.
right. That sounds right. Yeah. And I feel like even if it's you could do Frank or Frankie. You know,
Yeah, and you'll
Franklin.
Franklin. It probably is. Let's ease up on Franklin. That's
It's a little too far.
too much. Man, speaking of Franks, though, did you hear about the last
Sinatra.
Bruce Springsteen concert
Yes, I did at Hyde Park.
at Hyde Park
That would have been really, really cool.
with Frank Turner opening for him? That's insane.
Yeah.
That's like that's a dream come true.
Yeah, that would have been a show to see. It was outdoor, big
Outdoor. Yeah, it was a
concert,
festival one.
which I think would have been cool. I haven't really been to an outdoor concert. Coke Stage,
Coke's, yeah.
Coke Stampede, but yeah, Frank Turner opening for Springsteen. Oh man,
Oh man,
what a day!
what a day. Unfortunately, we don't live anywhere near.
Fortunately, we
Hyde
have to
Park.
see those artists separately, which is also
Yeah.
good. But like, damn, together.
Great. Yeah, together. You're kidding me. That's just an aside, though. Alex,
Yes.
is this the best song on the Dirty Dancing soundtrack?
I don't know. I like to listen to. The Dirty Dancing soundtrack is very interesting to me because
Why is that?
well, it's very much like Split, right? Because you've got licensed music from the '60s, and you've got the songs that were written for the movie or from the '80s that were done for the soundtrack. So there's like such a split between them, and you can really hear it in the movie too, and it's fun to see that. Like suddenly you get these like synthesizers, you're like, we're not in 1964 anymore or whenever it's set.
Yeah, even like for Hungry Eyes specifically, it follows on the heels of like a classic. It's so insane because the movie just like stitches two montages together basically for like the training scene with like one scene in between where he's like, it's like a heartbeat, feel it, and then that's when when we switch over to exactly. But yeah, there's definitely a clear divide where it's like roll over Beethoven or whatever, and then it's fucking big synths.
Yeah, it's such a it's somewhat jarring to see from now, but I guess at the time it was maybe less obvious, right? Because now we're like, oh, that's the '80s sound, but things have changed a lot since then, and now we know like that's what the '80s sound like. But in the '80s, they didn't know that. That was the sound of the future. That was just, I guess it was obviously different, but not obviously very distinctly '80s.
And there's also like, because when we talked about like the Cars and other bands, there's this clear love for like the 50s, 60s that's prevalent in that music, but done through an 80s filter. So it's not the most like absurd thing.
That's true. It was like time for 60s throwbacks.
Yeah, it was the time for that nostalgia. So it just kind of like, it's just the perfect match for that time period, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking back on it, you are like, this is...
Like, well, they didn't have those synthesizers in 1964, especially in the movie when he's like, I've been working on this. Like, this is a new song. And they're like, well, it is a new song, but not from that time.
A little too new, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a crazy thing, this soundtrack.
Yeah, it's fun, but it's a cool soundtrack. And I mean, there's a lot of, it's cool because it is. It does have like old stuff. You get like Love is Strange and things like that. And Be My Baby.
Be My Baby by the Ronettes.
And then this, and She's Like the Wind, and I've had the time of my life.
Wind, time of my life. Yeah, that's insane. That's an insane list of hits.
Yeah,
not many other movies are putting that out for original songs.
No.
But let's talk about these lyrics though, Alex, because they're pretty easy. I think.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, the title, sums it up.
Sums it up. It's either about eating food or something else, right?
I just got hungry eyes. I'm just, I'm hungry, so I'll eat anything.
Yeah, it's about a guy ordering too much food. He's like, fuck, hungry eyes, But here's how it goes, Alex. Right. I've been meaning to tell you, I've got this feeling that won't subside. I look at you and I fantasize. You're mine tonight.
It's pretty narrative. you know?
Yeah. He's talking to a person, a hopeful romantic partner, it seems like. Somebody he's evidently known for a bit. Because he says, I have this feeling that won't subside. So he's sat on it for a bit, and he's like, well, maybe it's just, it's whatever. It'll pass by. It's just a passing crush. And he's like, well, it's not happening, so I got to deal with my emotions. It's actually quite mature, isn't it? To be like, well, listen.
Yeah. It's time to actually talk about this. But the key thing in the song, I think, is it's all centered around looking, right?
Yes.
Like, he talks about what he needs to do, but in the moment, he's looking, and then once he gets to we'll talk about the chorus later, but like, he's not actually acting yet.
Yet, until the pre-chorus, where you're right, this song is about sight. It's about hungry eyes, and we get a nice double entendre with "Now I've got you in my sights."
Yeah.
With these hungry eyes, won't look at you, and I can't disguise. I've got hungry eyes. I feel the magic between you and I. I've got you in my sights, meaning literally I see you, and also like I am making you a goal.
Yeah. And
easy.
So it's like it's a focused metaphor, if it's even a metaphor. I guess it is a metaphor, because eyes just see things, but these eyes contain desire as well, which is
and they give him away, right? One look at you and I can't disguise,
right, and reveal the soul, as eyes often do.
They are the windows to the soul. The other name for this song would be like meaningful glances.
Meaningful glance, yeah. Like something about eyes. I don't know.
And here's the thing. We talked about like how perfectly made this is for the movie. There's like him in the training, like when Patrick Swayze is training Jennifer Grey, he's like, you gotta look. He's like, look at me.
Right, look at me.
So there's a lot of eye contact in their training, in dancing, and then boom, hungry eyes. It's like, how is this not written for the film? Like,
yeah, that's like such a big, like, just the eye contact when dancing, and like the connection through gaze, basically, is such a big part of the movie. Yeah, it's a steamy movie.
Make movies horny again, man.
Yeah, it's they don't make them like that anymore. Well, they probably do. I just don't watch them because I never go see movies.
That's also true, Alex. You're staunchly against movies because you support the Writers Guild of America.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Right, baby. They're on strike. I forgot to mention that in our preamble, but we do support the writer's strike. This was maybe an unfortunate choice of theming for the summer, but also you pay the fucking workers, right?
Yeah.
That's all we're saying. There you have it. I feel the magic between you and I. Meaningful glances, you can feel that energy. Everybody's at least hallucinated the magic between you and another person when you're making eye contact.
Yeah, you got this like force at a distance thing, right? That's like not real, but if you get the like meaningful glance shared, then you can both kind of feel the thing. You can transfer that information without speaking.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
Sometimes it's real, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
But you never know.
But you think it is.
But here it is real. We have to assume that, given the power of music and movies, that the magic is real, I think.
I mean, that's what the song's telling us. You gotta believe the song.
It is funny, though, because he's doing a lot of work I like this next verse. I want to hold you, so hear me out. I want to show you what love's all about, darling, tonight. I like that he has to make a plea. He's like, well, hear me out. Here's my plan.
Hear me out.
I'll show you what love's all about. That's it. Tonight. It's got to be tonight, though.
Again, now this one doesn't really, like, it doesn't talk about sights and seeing. I guess the first one doesn't either. Like, we're once again talking about the future, Yeah. I want to do this. I guess that's the only thing, like, that's the only action kind of in the song. Is it says, hear me out?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of, like...
Other than that, it's, like, looking?
Yeah, he says, I want to show you, which is, like, visual, right? I want to show you what love's about.
Yeah.
It kind of, like, verse 2 kind of attaches to the end of verse 1, where he says, I look at you when I fantasize. And then he kind of expands on some of that fantasy, which is wanting to hold this person.
Yeah.
How sweet.
How nice. Maybe above his head?
Yes.
While they're dancing? Possibly in water? I don't know.
Possibly in water. I was watching that, and I was like, why the fuck do they need to be in water? And I was like, oh, in case he, like, drops her.
Yeah, in case she falls.
That's right. That's how it is. And then you get the pre-chorus, chorus, bridge. I need you to see. Visuals again. This love was meant to be.
It's all about seeing. Think about this. I mean, obviously, yeah, more visuals there, but like the rhymes, he rhymes like eyes with eye, and like disguise. Which, I mean, that's fine. That's actually fantasized. Okay, those are good. But yeah, it does rhyme eyes with eye.
Between you and I, yeah.
Like
it's
a couple
pretty simple
times.
rhymes. C, B, it's like... Which, again, also led me to believe it's like, okay, you knocked this out for a film.
Yeah, of course it's for the movie, right? It's too, like, direct and romantic. I don't know.
Yeah, but no, it's just pop rock from New Jersey, baby.
Yep. Jersey.
Now, Did I Take You By Surprise is the next, like, new lyric.
Another eyes rhyme.
Take you by surprise.
Yeah, it's a lot of that. It feels like we've got the hungry eyes line, and the rest is like we got to rhyme with that.
Yeah, it's like we got a strong
even if it's just soft,
here.
Like sights, like it works good enough. Surprise, that's better even. But it's a lot of that repetition, and then you get a few other lines like can't disguise, in my sights, by surprise, all that. That's kind of it. Like,
that's it, man. What does he mean? Did I take you by surprise? Like, are you surprised that I'm in love with you, or have I surprised you with my gestures of love?
My gestures of love. You'd think by this point they're talking about like sharing a moment, kind of, and like looking at each other. That it would be more obvious. Maybe it's not a surprise. Is the point? I don't know. But
it's sort of like a cheeky, like, obviously you knew because I knew because we knew
because we were communicating wordlessly, but also like it rhymes. I think that's the important part.
That is the important part. I think you're right. Yes, Alex. That's the song. That's the lyrics, baby.
Yeah, there's not a ton of those lyrics there.
Worth noting that both Eric Carmen and Frank Pravide didn't want to do the soundtrack initially because Frank thought it was like a porn film at first. He's like, Dirty Dancing, what the fuck?
that is funny.
And then Eric Carmen apparently believed that soundtrack music had, quote, horrible deaths. So he's like, this music's not going to last and it's going to sound like shit in a few years.
Which is an interesting thing to be worried about in this time period. Like, weren't film soundtracks huge, or is it too early for that? I don't know. And which film soundtracks had horrible deaths? Because you'd either forget about them or they go on to be very popular. Yeah, is he like worried about like, oh, it's too popular, and then you become completely affiliated with this one song that everyone knows over everything else, and you've got one song left? Because like that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, kind of. But also, Eric Carmen has a couple of one songs.
Yeah,
under his belt.
Yeah, and he's got. I mean, I don't really know. It's cranberries, is it right? It's raspberries. Got my berries mixed up.
The raspberries, yeah. Yeah.
Which was his?
Yeah, they had
group.
his group that was with Jimmy. I'm assuming it's pronounced Yenner.
Yeah,
it's Ienner.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But that's why he knew Eric Carmen, was because he was the producer for the Raspberries.
Yeah. And so he has some other songs there. I don't know them. I don't know.
I don't know. I really just know All By Myself in this song.
Okay, do I know that song? I think I do.
By myself.
Yeah, okay, I know it a bit.
Yeah. You might know I think Cher does a cover of it.
Is it Celine Dion?
Celine Dion. It's one of the C's. I always get them confused.
Okay. I only know the Celine Dion version, I think.
Okay. Well, good for you, Alex.
Anyway.
Good for you for known versions. But that was a lovely interlude. People, I don't know how I'm going to edit this, so if it sounds janky, it's because we disconnected, because...
Technical difficulties.
Shit. Yeah. But we got to talk about the original version of the song, what it sounds like, which is like a demo of what will become the popular version.
It does sound a lot like a demo, doesn't it? Or maybe just relatively, right? Like, we know what the movie version, which is very much so more polished, sounds like. So the original by Franke and the Knockouts does feel rough.
Maybe it's like Franke, like Donka.
Franke? Might be, honestly.
Probably, I'm going to assume it's just Frank.
Frank. I'm just going to call him Frank for now, just for simplicity, because I don't know.
But yeah, so the version by them does because it holds so many of the same elements. And
True.
I guess you are raising an important point is like, is lo-fi a choice for these guys, or is it just because they didn't have the production money that a film would have with Eric Carmen behind the studio?
Exactly. So it's like, I mean, I guess sure they produced what they wanted to. Great for them. But because the other one is so ubiquitous and it's the one I knew so well, this does feel just like a demo version. He sings kind of similar too, right? Like.
Yeah, but even that's where like part of the demo comes up for me, because I think Frank's got a good voice on this. I think he actually sings quite smoothly, but Eric Carmen fucking punches these lines, and I think that's like, it almost feels like Frank was like holding out for a better version to make real big vocal deliveries, which I think is a big part of what sells the song.
I mean, maybe it definitely works in the movie version. We're talking about the movie version more than the.
It's hard to talk about it.
The original, it's hard to talk without.
Hard to separate.
So I'll talk about the differences because I went into more detail for the movie version when I was.
Yeah.
So there's a guitar that plays like a little riff in the intro.
Yeah, this really like uplifting.
Yeah, it's in both.
Mm-hmm.
But it's turned way down in the movie version.
Yeah.
And the reason for that seems to be, well, it's just, I don't know, like they put more focus on the synth and stuff, right? And like the beat.
Yeah.
So you're like, this guitar, we'll keep it, but like less.
Yeah, the rhythm section in particular, that like dun, 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 it's almost like a Cars rhythm. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, it's like very much just like eighth notes, continuous, you know? So it's pretty simple, but it keeps it moving.
Yeah, it keeps it chugging along. The interesting thing is we get the title line in the Franke and Knockouts version
right at the start.
Yeah, hungry eyes.
And
like that, what will become iconic, that synth riff, that boom, dun, dun, is already present here.
Yeah, a lot of stuff is.
Yeah,
it's like it's very, very similar.
Yeah, the drums even are pretty much like the same.
All the elements. I mean, the big thing, okay, there's a few things, like it feels more sanded down and polished in the movie one, as we mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few things like there's a big synth moment. I have an example. My timestamp is 144. It's on the Now I've Got You in My Sights, I think.
Yeah.
144. The ba ba, like it's bigger synth.
Yeah, there are points, like, even when... Hang on, I had a different timestamp, but it's pretty early on. Let me see if I can find it again here. Is it... Hang on. Hold on.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, like 30 seconds in. Is that... Bow, bow, down.
Yeah, which it does. Again, like, it does a lot of this stuff in the other version, but, like, subtler.
Yeah, it's just like a little sanded down, a little more like mixed.
It kind of has that like da da da, like descending chord pattern that it definitely uses.
Yeah.
But this is just, it feels like, it's not even that it feels like edgy, it just feels like louder, kind of.
Yeah, it feels like they're like, we don't know how to control synths.
Yeah, or they were just going for a slightly different sound. What I thought was, I mean, they both have an 80s sound. This one is less like 80s to me, just a bit. Because the other one feels more distinctly like of that time period. And we'll discuss that in a minute.
Because one is sax solo, two more emphasis on the synth.
Well, it's the synth, and not just any synth. A DX7, like,
of course, the synth of the 80s.
Yamaha DX7 makes things sound very 80s. So, yeah, you want to talk about the original now? Because I don't have much else to say about this.
We've been talking about the original. Alex.
We have been talking about the original.
How dare you?
Okay, you're right. We've been talking about the original. We want to talk about the movie version, the Eric Carmen version.
Yeah. I think we can talk. There's a guitar solo on this. It's pretty good. It's like there's backing vocals on this, and the only way to really talk about them is to talk about the movie version, because the ones on the original, the Franke and the Knockouts version, are like a bit slower. Hungry, slightly different. But you're right. Let's talk about Eric Carmen in 1987. been performing music since he was like 2 years old.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's insane. What's even more insane is that he doesn't like the sound of his own voice.
I know. I mean, a lot of people say that, and I know it's weird to hear your own voice, but also, like, after all this time, it's like, man, you can clearly sing. Like,
yeah, it's like you it's okay to like it a little bit.
But yeah, damn.
Yeah, damn. So this is the song. This is the version everybody knows. Opens with those drums, that driving bass line. Baby, it's Hungry Eyes.
Hungry Eyes.
Yeah, also the drum tone is much more like Drum Machine, which is 80s, right?
True. Which version? So, one of the quotes you said was talking about, like, having the drummer from Led Zeppelin.
I believe that was the Frank and the Knockouts demo.
Okay. I don't know. It didn't sound like that to me.
Hey, listen, man.
In either one, but I'm not a percussionist, so...
Because that would be the tape he got from Jimmy Yenner, would be that, presumably that Frank, and then unless there's another version in the...
Unless they were like, we recorded it already, we just need your vocals.
But I will say there is like a harshness to the drums that is like... Because he says it sounds like Air Supply with Led Zeppelin's drummer.
Oh, right,
I do think the drums stand out tonally as being a little different from the more soft sound of the vocals and even the guitar and stuff in the Frank and the Knockouts version.
It does have that real, like huge snare.
Mm-hmm.
In the I think it's gated reverb snare.
Yeah.
Like that.
You're talking about this version now, the Eric Carmen version.
Yeah, Eric Carmen.
Yeah.
It has that sound, which is also pretty 80s. The weird thing I thought about this one, compared to some of the stuff we've been talking about lately, in particular, is there's not actually that much like echo on everything.
Yeah,
like, you listen to the guitar, and there's like not much sustain. You know, it's muted, but even when it's not muted, there's not much sustain. It's a little overdriven, but like they keep it on lock. You know,
it's very tight because like one thing the guitar does on here is it does this kind of like little rhythm chug along to the like bass pattern. It's like and
it's all like
not
eighth
a
notes.
lot of sustain on that. Yeah,
except with less chord changing than the Cars stuff we were talking about before.
Yeah, and then you get that synth, which has been like polished to the nth degree. It sounds like fucking Starlight. It sounds like the 80s.
Yeah, it sounds like Starlight. That's a DX7. Of course, I looked it up. It sounds like a DX7. I looked it up. One random website says that it does use a DX7 Bell's sound.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah. And then there's more keys though, which I think is different. Could be the same synth, but sounds like a different sound.
Yeah,
that
on
plays,
that like down pattern on the verse.
Yeah, just playing like chords.
Yeah.
Again, not much sustain. Like it'll play these, like it only play chord transitions too. Like it technically holds the chords, but since it has no sustain, you don't hear the chords for very long.
Right, it fades out pretty quick.
So like it is playing chords, but you only hear the like bum 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 like transitions.
Yeah, you hear the initial attack, and that's about it. And also muddying it out is there's like a lot of synth sustain going on in the background. Just some like ambient.
You do get that. You do get that ambient synth.
Yeah, those big drum hits. And then pretty similar to the original, the pre-chorus on this is so tight. It's like 2 lines, right?
Yeah, I barely even noticed the pre-chorus.
Yeah, and so that jump up from verse to chorus is so quick. It's like 2 drum hits and like the guitar, and then it's like we're in.
Does the ambient synth cut out during the pre-chorus? Because I feel like it does, but it's hard to tell.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And then like the guitar kind of gets a bit louder. Actually, what it does, it's less muted now because it was like really muting on the verse. And then once you get to the end of the pre-chorus, it's less muted, and it's very much like I think it's all power chords because it really sounds like that.
Yeah. It's
and it's not like huge, you know, but there's it's a little more.
But and this one is very like made for movies, right? It's just the clear like pick it up. Let's get to the like ooh we're really dancing part.
Right, like you do the montage during the verse, so you gotta make sure that it's not too distracting. And then you get to the chorus, and it's like hungry eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense? Not really, but it is like Hungry Eyes, yeah.
Yeah, it's because what you see during the film at this point is it's when Jennifer Grey's character is sandwiched between Patrick Swayze and his former dance partner, who's now unable to dance, and
whose name escapes me.
Yeah, whose name escapes me, and I don't even remember the name of Patrick Swayze's character. I want to keep calling him Dalton, but that's
that can't
be right. And they're dancing together.
Johnny Castle.
So you're getting this weird shot where he's dancing with Baby, and then of course he also has his like the other character there. So there's this like sexual tension.
Is it Penny? Is that Penny?
It may be Penny, Alex.
I'm just looking at the cast.
I'm so glad you're doing this. It's very helpful.
It's very important
to this moment. But yeah, that's when the song like kicks off. Is there, and that's I think the meat. Like from the movie standpoint, it's like that's when we're seeing the Hungry Eyes for the first time. We're starting to see Patrick Swayze fall in love with Baby, and vice versa, and that's like the key moment. So that's how the chorus plays here. Is that dun dun Hungry Eyes, and honestly, the chorus for the most part is the same as what we got in the introduction.
Yeah,
with that little guitar chug. That dun 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 dun.
Yep,
dun,
and
dun.
The twinkly synth.
Yeah,
twinkly synth makes a return. And that's kind of it. It has that guitar we already mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, verse 2 is a little moodier, isn't it?
A little moodier. I mean, we still have more of the guitar power chords.
Yeah, so I think is a little more present. It actually brings us into verse 2 is a couple of like guitar chords. And then I think there's like a little more synth present as well. It just feels a little bigger,
definitely,
maybe a little hornier.
Maybe this song gets progressively hornier. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely like you get a little more ambient synth as it goes, like a little more.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think like it has a very like gradual build that it's hard to pick out like moments where it jumps up. It feels very smooth. Even though there are, the stuff like, oh, we clearly turned up the guitar here, but like the song feels very smooth.
Yeah.
As it goes.
Yeah, and it's a song that wastes no time getting to its chorus as well. So like in terms of build, it's like we got to get back to that chorus pretty quick. So the amount of things you can add in there.
And I think even like there's differences between the chorus, but it's like mostly more ambient synth.
Yeah, it's like bump up the synth content. Good. They just had a dial that said synth
and just like slowly turned it up as they went.
Slowly turn that up. That's it.
Someone had a dial, someone else had a slider, and they just had to both turn both of them up.
Yeah, and they work together.
Yeah. The next bit that's different is the bridge.
Yes.
And this is where we change the chords. Actually, it goes to a vamp of like E minor and A minor, I think. So it's like going between two chords.
Right, and that's that kind of like more plucked sounding guitar. That bum 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 bum. Is that the part?
Let me double check.
Around like 2:30.
Yeah, that's exactly the time. Yes, the guitar arpeggio. Yeah, it's kind of cool actually. So basically, it does that.
Mm-hmm.
It goes bum 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 bum, and then like it does the like vibrato
you got that fat
chord
synth going. Yeah.
So that's cool. But what's interesting is like that seems to be the chord change moment. So it'll be like one chord, bum bum bum, the picking, and then when it changes, it just strums the whole chord and like whammy bars basically.
Nice.
Like slowly. So that's cool.
Oh yeah, I hear that.
And then back to the bum 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 when the chord changes back. So that's cool.
Yeah, bring in the vocals and then do another, basically the same build you do to the chorus, drum roll. Dun, 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 dun. This love was meant to be.
And then into a solo.
Solo. Now, here's what's crazy here, Alex. I got to find the timestamp on Netflix here. But the soundtrack version we're listening to has less saxophone than the movie version.
Oh, really?
Yes.
They had to extend it a bit for the scene?
Yeah. Let me see here. I got to...
Oh, interesting. Because the movie...
down a bit.
The version that I watched on YouTube is maybe not exactly the movie version. No, it can't be, because it has more scenes from the movie. Definitely not.
It's got more scenes from. So check this out. If you go to your Netflix app, and you look up Dirty Dancing, and you go to about 38:45 in the film, it's this same point. It's like literally the same point. Our love is meant to be, and there's a different sax that rips in.
Different solo, eh?
And then I think it actually, because no, it's more like an extended bridge section that gives you a sax lick, and then you hit the same sax solo like 10 seconds later.
So it's just a little extra in there. Yeah, I mean, I guess you gotta match the times, right?
Yeah, they're like, well, we gotta show these close-ups of them twisting their feet. We need a little extra sax there.
Was it when she's like tripping?
He's shirtless. She's wearing her like crop top thing, and they're in like the dark studio space.
Okay, just because like sometimes when it shows the close-up of the feet is when they're like practicing.
Right, because it shows her like,
and she's like gets kind of some of the steps and then like messes it up.
Yeah, I think at this point in the montage, she's getting better at it, right? So
okay, all right.
Because then the next part is them doing that like horny move, and she's like laughing every time they do it, and then they get it right on the last one, and then she's like,
Is it when he's like when they're facing the same direction?
Yeah,
he's like right behind her and like running his hand along her. Yeah. Dirty Dancing, folks. But yeah, that's a difference in the film version versus this version we're talking about, where there is no prelude sax to the sax solo. Prelude to sax.
Big fun sax solo. It sounds maybe like synth to me.
There's definitely the synth makes an appearance alongside it. Whatever the saxophone is, there's also that bell synth is there.
Yeah, just like the tone on that sax, though, particularly like the tenor end of it, like the higher end, sounds a bit electronic to me.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so hard to know what they could have done in '87, right? Like,
we got to go back.
We got to go back. It's definitely not being played in the music video, but we'll get to that later.
That's so crazy. That's such a twist in the music video. But yeah, fun sax solo. It's played. There's a Ringo Starr cover we won't be talking about today, but Clarence Clemons plays it in that version.
That's awesome.
Which is pretty wild, but it's also pretty tight, close. Like Eric Carmen sings it on that one.
It's like Ringo Starr featuring Eric Carmen.
Yeah.
And Clarence Clemons.
And like a whole bunch of cool musicians to make this the safest cover in the world.
Ringo Starr and his all-star band.
Yeah.
We won't talk about that.
We won't talk about that. We will talk about that. Boom! After the sax solo, you're in outro mode.
Yeah, new outro. So it's like chorusing, outroing. The sax returns right at the end.
Yeah.
And then fades out. Oh, also I counted the bridge 8 bars long. Solo also 8 bars long.
Damn! Look at that. But if you're watching in the movie, that bridge is a little longer. How many bars? I don't know. I didn't. I don't know. Didn't count. I'm not a counter. I'm not a freaking bean counter over here, okay?
Count beans and bars.
Now, Alex, I was surprised to find out that there is a music video for this one, because it's like...
Yeah, a music video that's separate, because I looked it up first, and then I was like, this music video is just footage from the movie.
Yeah.
So whatever. But then, the Wikipedia page was like, hey, there's a music video. And it would mention, like, the woman in it and how we don't know who she is.
Well, yeah, there's a different woman. I guess the woman at the end is Sally Steele.
Yeah, so we know who she is. I don't personally.
No, but she founded Vegas Rocks magazine.
And then, the woman throughout the video is just like a model of some kind that is uncredited and unknown.
Yeah, that faded into history.
So that's always a weird thing.
Yeah.
But what's going on in this music video? I gotta turn it down. I'm sorry, everything's so loud.
Oh my god, Alex. It opens with Eric Carmen watching the film Dirty Dancing, specifically watching the scene where Hungry Eyes plays on a reel-to-reel film projector.
Yeah, in the room. This room reminds me of Boys of Summer, even though it looks nothing like the Boys of Summer video.
Okay.
Because there's also a projector in there.
That's right. Damn, that was a while ago. So we do get stitches of just straight up like footage from the film in here.
Yeah. Sometimes, but there's like a whole other story going on. Like he's in his room with the projector, and there's like a fake window.
Yeah,
that it like looks like CGI kind of, but I know it wasn't because it's like '87.
Yeah.
Oh, and I guess he's looking out the window at this woman in a dress, or maybe he's just imagining her.
I mean, by the end of this video, it's so confusing as to what is or isn't reality.
Yeah.
He looks out the window. As he does, the film projector kicks on. It's Eric Carmen on the screen. He's singing the song, while Eric Carmen, the other version of him, looks out the window at a lady.
Yeah, so, yeah, the film projector version is just, like, in a different scene, which kind of happens later.
Is it
but
like
I'm
a
not sure
different
if it's the
scene, or
same
is it
scene or not.
reflecting his inner thoughts?
Yeah, I guess so. But then, like, he looks back at the projector at one point, and it's the woman again.
Yeah. It's strange.
And
so
then
she's picking roses.
And then he talks about fantasizing, and then she, like, touches his face. So it's like, okay, so she's not really there. I can get that.
Yeah.
She's not in the room.
Not in the room, because, yeah, then she's eventually on the projector. You're right. He looks back, she's on the projector, but he could also be thinking about the lady. The projector could be his mind.
Yeah. He's just like, damn, that movie Dirty Dancing, pretty sweet. Also, there was that woman.
Yeah, and then she comes out from the projector, touches his face.
Yeah, that's the bit. So, like, I think that's the fantasy bit. I'm not clear on whether he actually sees her, like, through his window in the courtyard or whatever.
Yeah, or if he's just imagining, like, a strange meet cute, where he's like, maybe this fucking woman's out in the middle of the night picking flowers from a tree.
Yeah, and she changes outfits a few times.
Yeah.
She's got a black dress on for some of it. She's got, like, a loose red shirt, and I think a black skirt.
The black skirt. So do we mention that she disappears, though, after stroking his face?
Yeah, she fades away. So, I mean, she's got to be imaginary at that point, right?
Yeah. And then, boom, we get him projected on, like, a massive side of a building, which is...
Yeah, and it's the same shot from the, like, his mind projector.
Yeah, from his mind projector.
Of him just, like, leaning against things and singing the song.
Yeah, and he approaches this, like, kind of, like, Spanish dive bar. All the signs are in Spanish.
Oh, I didn't read the signs. Yeah, some kind of club or bar type.
It's weird because it's like an outdoor club or bar too. They have like patio seating.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of film footage in there too.
Yeah.
So it kind of cuts back and forth. Yeah, and he just like leans on this door and is like, cerveza. And you're like, I know what that means.
Yeah, and then it cuts to the woman in this white space.
Yeah, she's got a couple voids. This one is a white void where she's wearing a black dress and kind of dancing.
The other one's a rain void.
There's a rain void, a dark rain void later on, and she's wearing... Oh, still black there. I thought she was wearing a different... She's wearing a gold dress at some point.
Yeah, that's after the rain void, the first rain void. Then she's in front of him dancing in a gold dress. Then she's in the rain space in a gold dress.
Okay, so that bit where she's... Is that even a... Yeah, it is a dress. Okay. That bit, okay, is this visual storytelling? So he's in front of the door, and there's like an awning. He's under an awning, and then she's outside of the awning.
Oh, in the rain.
In the rain, sure. But are these like bars? So are there bars between them? Are they being held separate by the awning bars, metaphorically?
Are they meant the three awning bars meant to represent a jail cell? Is that what you're suggesting?
Is that what's happening here?
I don't think so. Maybe.
And then it's like first person view of him looking at her in his mind, I guess. But like she's in the rain, as you mentioned, which is funny because it's not raining in reality. I don't know.
No. And it's not actually raining on her. It's like raining behind her.
That's true. She's not getting wet.
Maybe he's imagining her coming under the awning where she would be dry.
With him in his jail cell.
Is the changing of dresses supposed to signify that this fantasy woman he's conjured up could really be any woman?
Yeah, maybe. It doesn't seem like she's real.
Well, yeah, because could we come to the end of it? But first we got to talk about the fact that she plays the saxophone.
We sure do.
So we get some film footage, we get him leaning up against a pillar, and the sax solo comes in. And she is pretending to rip on this sax while in front of some strange-looking buildings.
Yeah, this is such a strange shot, man.
Yeah.
It's like low angle, like not quite up skirt kind of look. You know, she's got a pretty high, like, dress.
Yeah. That saxophone is about the only thing covering her up there.
Yeah. So it's like very like crotch shot. She's holding the saxophone kind of awkwardly. I mean, very awkwardly.
Yeah.
And clearly not moving her fingers at all.
Yeah,
to
she's
mime
doing everything
playing
in
the
her power to
saxophone?
just hold that thing.
And yeah, it's such a weird, like, it looks so awkward. And she's like standing with like her legs apart. She got like a very solid stance, which is probably good.
Yeah.
But she's not a very convincing saxophone player.
No, it's a very strange shot.
The fact that they like did that and we're like, yep, it's good.
They're like, people are gonna need to know where the saxophone comes from. Here,
like, of
we'll
all
shoot this real
things,
quick.
no other instruments are depicted.
It feels like maybe a producer note. He's like, how are people gonna know where the saxophones come from? They're like, okay, we'll fucking stitch
he's
this
right.
together.
He's right. No, I mean, everyone knows other instruments just sound natural in this city, but saxophone, no.
Especially when you're at El Cafe.
Oh man.
So then,
that's
this is like
solo.
the twist of this scenario. He goes to El Cafe, which is in the parking lot of the bar, I guess.
Yeah.
He sits down at a table, and then he sees this woman he's been fantasizing about with some old dude with a mustache.
Is that the actual woman? Oh yeah.
It is at first.
Yeah, it is.
So then he's like seeing her, and then she starts kissing him, and then she pulls her head up, and then it's the Sally Steele woman, I assume.
I thought the woman he was sitting with.
He's actually not sitting with that woman if you look closely.
Oh.
It's actually two different tables.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, I thought he sat down with a woman.
No, that woman is there at her own table. He is at a separate table.
Oh, you're right.
He watches this. Yeah. He watches this woman make out. She lifts her head up. She's a different woman. And then to further confuse things, boom, it turns out he's just at home watching a film still.
This is all imaginary.
Yeah, is that he just imagined a scenario in which he would not get with the girl? Like, what the fuck happened in this video?
I'm pretty sure Sally Steele is the other woman sitting at the table.
Okay, so she's just a random woman sitting there.
I think so.
Okay, good for her, but less important to me than
I thought.
The case of the transforming woman who then reveals that it was all just a film, potentially in Eric Carmen's head.
Or
That's
he
my
actually went to
concern,
this
Alex.
place and like
Is he just remembering a time that he
just
didn't
thinking
get
about this
laid?
woman. He was like, I thought it was her, but it's just some other random woman.
It's just some
seeing
other
her
random
everywhere,
woman.
but it's not actually her.
Okay, I see. Yeah, is
It's
this like
infatuated with
this is like the
woman.
original version of Gloria, where he's like, I made up a woman and I'm going to meet her someday.
It feels like that.
Feels a bit like that.
Yeah, that's an odd one.
That is an odd one. We got to carry on with these covers, though. It's weird because I feel like we just finished discussing the original, but we've actually talked about the original and one cover.
We have.
It's a strange pacing this week, but nevertheless, we must cover ever forwards. Alex, let's talk about Smokie in 2001.
Smokie, yeah, big gap before any of these covers.
Yeah, but this is like a fucking legacy act. They formed in 1964. They're still going today. They've had 1,000 change-ups in their lineup. And they used to be spelled Smokie, Smokey, but Smokey Robinson threatened to sue them.
How can you... Oh, wait, I'm not going to worry about it.
I think it was just a threat. I mean, he probably couldn't have gone all the way, but they're like, listen, we don't want to...
Just to be safe.
We don't want to fuck
we
with
don't want to fuck
Smokey
with
Robinson.
Smokey Robinson, yeah. I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to either.
I don't want to either. Remember when Smokey Robinson mispronounced Hanukkah?
Did we talk about that?
I think we did. It was a couple years back when he like when Cameo was a little bigger. I think people still use it, but it was a big craze a few years back. And he said Happy Chanukah.
Oh, because that's like an alternate spelling.
Yeah, with the C.
But I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it, but it's not a CH.
No, certainly not. I
Not
imagine you
a
pronounce it
ch.
Hanukkah.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine there's a more Jewish way of saying it, but like Hanukkah would suffice.
Interesting.
That's all my Smokey Robinson facts. These guys had at least one hit song in Living Next Door to Alice. They teamed up with the production duo that worked with Sweet and other bands, and that's kind of when they started to get some success. So they're a band with some history, and part of that history is this cover of Hungry Eyes.
Yeah, this is definitely a piece of history.
That's Alex's way of saying there's nothing notable about this cover.
Pretty much, yeah. As much as it was in 2001, but they still have a bit of an 80s pop sound, which is, they lived through the 80s, but they weren't from the 80s or anything, so it feels a little dated. At first I was like, yeah, it's a little hair metal, but they're not really. It's just kind of his vocals threw me off.
Yeah, they're a little more like country rock ultimately, but also not quite.
But because it doesn't really have much edge or grit.
It's kind of ill-defined, isn't it? Like you said, they take on the 80s vibe, of course, aping the source material.
Yep.
He's got vocals that are like hard rock.
Yeah, I guess that would be the right way to say it.
And then there is sometimes country vibes for me, which I think is maybe in the vocal harmonies. Maybe not. Some part of this felt country rock to me. Yeah, it's pretty safe. There is cool synth on the instrumental interlude.
Yeah,
here.
There's some decent little effects. There's some stuff like early on. There's a synth that kind of plays very specifically in the lower left side of the space, which is kind of neat. But it's mostly synth sweeps. That's a lot of this song is synth sweeps around various areas. But yeah, other than they add a few guitars, but it mostly sticks to that eighth note rhythm. And then in the intro, I think they throw in one of those backwards guitar sounds where you get kind of sound.
Yeah, some of the little accents.
But yeah, it's just this really clean pop rock thing.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty he ends on the line "I need you to see," though. Which is a weird ending point. Cuz they do kind of most people fade out, but they're okay, maybe they do fade out here, but it's weird that the line before they fade out is actually it's a pretty definitive because it's dun, 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 you fade on a chord rather than just a fade on action.
Right, and it's not they don't just keep going.
Yeah, but if you're gonna do that, why wouldn't you not go, "I need you to see," and then end on the powerful line of "This love was made to be," right? This love was meant to be. Maybe
they're trying to build anticipation. I don't know if it's to any end, but
yeah, what comes up next on the track? Who'll stop the rain? I need you to see. Who'll stop the rain? No, not quite. Alex, what better thing to do with the song from a movie about dancing than to do a dance version of it, though?
Dance version.
Let's talk about Paris Encore in 2008.
Paris Encore.
Fucking, did you find anything on this person? This
No, nothing. They've got two songs, this and The Lion Sleeps Tonight. They both have a couple different mixes. This is supposedly the original radio
mix.
Which I don't know who's playing this on the radio. I can't imagine it's a lot of folks.
Are there dance radio stations?
Must be.
But yeah, this is because the other version is the dance version, which is 7 minutes long or something like that.
Right.
So you got an original radio mix, an original club mix, a big house edit, and then a big house mix. The longest one is the big house mix at 5:48. So you're not actually losing that much with the radio mix. But this is pretty standard. It's a pretty we redo the vocals. We get some big sweeping synths on the intro while he starts with the chorus. He does the
you get it's a big whoosh as that.
You're in a synth cyclone or something. There's these whooshing winds.
And then gets in that dance beat. And the actual the stuff it does pretty straightforward. You filter out the beat a bit when you get to the verse. so you can sing a bit. But yeah, I said it really feels like an 80s song redone as a dance version.
Yeah,
and that's what it is. So
they're like, we're doing an 80s theme night at whatever Paris. I'm assuming they're French. I'm just gonna guess with a name like Paris Encore. Maybe they're, I don't know, European at the very least, judging by the vocals. They're like, we need you to throw on some 80s tracks. He's like, okay, yeah, I can whip up Hungry Eyes real quick.
Hungry Eyes, yeah.
It's very like, yeah, like kind of bouncy synths, very like it's like a bouncy ball brought to life.
But but it does add some like of those new synth things. There's a little like synth riff it plays with like a heavier synth. I think 44 seconds is my timestamp for that.
Oh yeah, and I do like that kind of crunchy synth he uses in there. Like he's got different tones.
Yeah. And they do like it's a little more of like a build into like a drop, right? Like the drums drop out for the pre-chorus, and like the synth does a build, and then it's just a big like release into the
it like hits.
Chorus.
It's the sensible part. It's a sensibly made dance version.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing that's gonna bring me back.
But it doesn't have like a dancing section, and maybe it's because it's the radio edit.
That could be.
Doesn't have the bridge.
Not an extended bridge for dancing.
So, what does that mean? I don't know. It means it's like all right.
Yeah. Yeah, but let me tell you what, Alex. What if they remade Dirty Dancing as a made-for-TV movie?
Oh my gosh. I was so looking this up. I think I heard about that happening when it happened.
Yeah.
And then completely forgot about it. But like I'm looking up this movie, this like ABC produced Dirty Dancing
film.
remake from 2017, featuring Abigail Breslin in the main role of Baby.
Who's that?
She's in Little Miss Sunshine.
Okay.
And also is the younger girl in Zombieland.
Okay.
I don't know who Colt Pratt is. Nicole Scherzinger is in this. Of the Pussycat Dolls.
Right, yeah.
Sarah Hyland, who I only know from Modern Family.
That's a strange cast.
Yeah, Katie Sagal. Billy D. Williams is in this.
Billy D. Williams, that's insane.
Yeah.
You know who I forgot was in the original film? Wayne Knight.
Oh, yeah.
Really weird that he shows up. He's not like a bit part. He's barely in it.
Yeah, I'm like trying to remember what he even does.
He's like a coach or something, like for like the extracurricular activities at like the summer resort. It's literally the only time you see shots of him. He's like, they're just like showing the area and he's like shouting stuff at people. And you're like, that's Wayne Knight.
Hey, Wayne Knight, be like silly. He's like, ah.
Okay, I can be silly. That's my best Wayne Knight.
Yeah, mine was so I think yours is better.
You put them together, we're probably somewhere in the field. But along with hiring new actors, they also hired new musicians to cover the soundtrack, including Greyson Chance in the year 2017.
Fella who viral YouTube video in 2010, it was like his like school talent show or something that he performed for. I
am a bit confused by this because Wikipedia says it was at a grade school music festival in 2010. Greyson Chance was born in 1997. Would they have been in grade school in?
Well, it depends what you consider to be grade school. I guess
because they'd have been like what, 13 then.
Yeah. So
okay. Yeah.
Like he's in what we would call probably the 8th or 9th grade. And generally we would not refer to that as grade school, but it kind of is because he's in it's in a grade.
We'd be in the 8th or 9th grade at 13?
7th or 8th.
7th or 8th, yeah. 7th or 8th. Yeah, okay. That makes more sense to me. But yeah, so he did Lady Gaga's Paparazzi and sort of picked up from there. Yeah, this movie is apparently a trash heap.
I watched the scene where this song plays, and it's like them dancing, and there's not much chemistry.
No, I bet they both keep their shirts on too, huh?
Yeah. Also, the bit in the water, like there's so much backlight. It's all silhouettes.
Embarrassing. This version's very like chill. It's like
yeah, it's got. I mean, it comes in with like chill synths and stuff.
Yeah, doom, boom, boom, boom.
It's really like this like glassy synth sound.
Yeah,
with like a little bit of sort of, this isn't a real phrase, internal echo.
Yeah, kind of like the bubbly synth pops in on itself.
Yeah. It feels more like ballady to me in this form.
Yeah, it's just like almost sad. Like he's like, damn, I wish people could understand how hungry my eyes are. And you get that kind of like dreamy, wistful guitar that comes in at the start there, like.
Yeah, that's the other thing it adds, is that like sliding guitar.
Yeah.
It feels a lot more synthy overall. I mean, it's very modern. Like, it's a remake of the film. It's a remake of the song, right? But with, like, some more stuff. Another thing, like, there's a water droplet sound effect it's like right before the 1 minute mark, leading into the chorus. And I think it comes in before all the choruses, potentially.
Oh, yeah, that.
So one of
like
those.
I got a dragon's tear in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, exactly. But it feels it's much more like clean and tight electronic sound. You know, the bass is sequenced, of course.
And
feels
that drum
more
kit is so reined in compared to like any other version. It's just like tight snares, like
yeah. That the snares just like that.
Yeah.
Versus the like.
Yeah, this fucking big drum that's usually on.
Yeah, and I guess it's more modern sound, but it also, I guess, also contrasting it with the movie version, very much. That was a weird way of phrasing that. There's a lot more echo.
Yeah,
because the original didn't have a lot of that. Shockingly,
there's like with a version like this, the dancing montage should theoretically be more intimate if you can manage that. Because it's this kind of quiety, echoey space, right? That we've been talking about. It should be like closer and perhaps hornier, but it doesn't sound like that's what happened.
I mean, even the music video for this is like...
The music video for this is insane and dumb, I think.
Yeah. But it's like one person dancing, right? So it's like, oh, is this a group thing anymore?
Yeah, exactly. And like, is he in love with his hat in that video? Is it the piano?
He just loves everything he sees.
Yeah, we get like a breakdown chorus instead of like a solo. There's no instrumental solos on this.
True. There's no solo. There's a bridge though.
Yeah.
It gets some like more twinkle, kind of like fast sequence, I think.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a fine version. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's just okay.
It's not very exciting.
Not very exciting.
It's supposed to be kind of like chill, I think, but it's also, I don't know. I don't really want to watch this version, but I kind of do. Like, I don't want to spend the time watching it, but I kind of want to have seen it.
Yeah, I hear. We should maybe throw that on our bad movie list. And
it just looks so weird. I mean, I'm watching them dance. I'm like, they're not dancing very well.
I read the ending, and it sounds upsettingly bad for the film.
Okay.
She gets married and has kids, but not with Patrick Swayze's character, not with him. She writes a book about her time that summer. He then creates a musical based on it, and then they like meet up one day, and they're like, "You should keep dancing," and they're like, "We will," and that's like the ending, is them telling each other to keep dancing.
Huh.
Yeah, kind of sucks shit. This music video though features a guy dancing to a different song entirely, probably.
Yeah, not Greyson Chance. It's not Greyson Chance.
I'll tell you that.
Greyson Chance. This is not him.
Okay, it's not. I assumed it wasn't. I assumed Greyson Chance wasn't a dancer.
That is probably also true. Yeah. This is also not Pharrell Williams, but he does have the hat.
Yeah, he's got the hat. He's got a cane for some reason.
Props, man.
Yeah, he's dancing. He dances so much, Alex. It's such active dancing compared to the
song.
very, very chilled out song. My favorite moment, I think, is when he does the backstroke on the ground.
When is that?
Let me see. It's pretty late in the video.
I didn't comment too much on like the actual dance moves because he's just like going the whole time, and he's moving around, he's doing a lot of spinning. I mean, he's dancing. It's probably good dancing. I'm assuming.
I think it is technically like his body. It doesn't look like
impressed.
He looks like he knows what he's doing.
He dances. It's just a very strange situation he's in.
Yeah, so if you go to around 3 minutes there, you'll see him do the backstroke.
Okay, later in it.
Yeah.
Does a spin, goes on his back, spins, foot up in the air, does the backstroke. Yes, I remember this.
It's the backstroke, baby.
Pushes himself along with his feet. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff because, like you mentioned, he had a cane, he has a hat, and he kind of like uses those props. There's a bit where he uses there's a nearby grand piano.
Yeah,
and he like pretends to play it for a second. But like not convincingly. Is that a throwback to the music video of the original? Probably not.
Probably not. It's such a confusing video in that I don't know. Like usually when you see these ones where it's like a dance number where we've got one like very clearly like classically trained like art dance.
Right.
That there's some kind of story going on. It's like running up that hill, or it's there was versions of this for Dancing on My Own that were like interpretive dance.
Right.
I can't interpret this dance. Sometimes he's using the hat to cover up his junk. Sometimes he throws the hat away and dances at it. Sometimes he pretends to play a piano. Like
sometimes it's the backstroke.
Yeah, sometimes all of this is, like we've said, technically solid dancing. Like he clearly knows how to dance. That's not in question. Why is he dancing like this to this song? In this space,
which is what is this space, by the way?
Like a
concert hall, like a dance hall,
like a dance hall. I don't know.
There's like big windows, and there's like sunlight just flooding in. There's a brick wall. There's a fan. There's a fridge.
There's a fridge. Yeah, there's a kid. It's like a studio apartment,
a quite large studio apartment, maybe.
Yeah,
it's all tiled.
Yeah, that's that one though, Alex. Let's move along and talk about John DeNicola in 2019. Who is, of course, one of the... He was like a session musician for the final Frank and the Knockouts album, so of course played bass on the original version of this song.
Yep.
Is responsible as a composer for this, and of course I Had the Time of My Life. He's also won that Academy Award along with other awards for that. And he is I have 2019 here. The music video for this says 2020, so I'm not sure. The music video is very clearly 2020. Everyone's wearing masks. Did you watch the music video?
I didn't see the music video.
It's got a dog on the picture as the thumbnail.
Hang on, let me find it. John DeNicola. Oh, it does have a dog. Okay.
So yeah, that's that.
So it's COVID times.
So synth guitars, bass, and vocals in this is John DeNicola. The Fender Rhodes is played by Max Weigel. The drums are John's son Jake. Background vocals are Arwen Lewis and Cassidy Ladden. And then it's mixed by a guy named Ed Stasium. And Jake DeNicola also did the main cinematography. So there you have the whole family team behind this, plus others.
Well, they got a Juno on this, that's why. Yeah.
And you can tell that John DeNicola is a bassist, because there's like a big focus on the bass line.
The bass, that's like one of the big differences here is the bass is not just bump, 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 right? Like it's like a bass line, you know?
Yeah.
And that makes it feel quite different, actually.
Yeah, it really does bring a whole new feeling to it.
But that's not the only thing. This version is actually kind of, I don't know, it's got like a lot of stuff going on. You know?
It's like right from the get-go, it's like, yeah, you get this big bass line, boom, boom, doom, doom, doom. The synth comes in, there's a guitar right in, like it's dense from the moment it starts.
And like it's like it's doing a synth pattern that's similar but not quite.
Yeah, this
Like it does a lot of that ascending like 3-note pattern thing. And plays a kind of like lower, higher, different, in different chords or keys. Or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, but there's also like a guitar playing at the same time, and they're kind of playing like against each other. They don't always seem to like totally mesh, but like they kind of works. I don't know. This is an odd one.
It's strange, yeah. And he's like, I mean, he's old at this point. He's an old guy, and he's handling the vocals here. They're a very soft delivery. Yeah,
and a different feeling from the other ones, definitely.
Yeah,
he kind of sings it like almost falsetto, like just soft and like close.
Yeah,
I've been meaning to tell you.
Yeah, and yeah, it stands in contrast to this fucking like big fat bass line that is running underneath. Like, it's a weird dynamic that's not really seen in other versions.
Yeah, it has a strange feeling to it. As much as it doesn't necessarily change all that much, it does kind of change quite a bit.
Yeah, it's like you're hitting all of the things that would make you understand this to be Hungry Eyes. But it's like, it hits it at a strange angle.
Yeah, it's an odd one. It also adds a bunch of extra synths. Well, is there anything in particular that, I guess the bass line is the big one. I guess you're mentioning the weird stuff about it. And like all the synth stuff and the like, we changed this a bit, but not that much, but like it still sounds different. Solo, they do a solo, but it's all synth.
Yeah.
It's very like long sounds.
Yeah, like we hit verse 2 and the synth starts to go into like, what if we just start making cool noises mode. This is just like,
there's definitely like, some of that, and they'll be like very like bloopy type like synthy sounds. Although I think it's kind of going for that, because some of it, is kind of that 80s throwback. The music video had a Juno 106, I think, in it. Junos, and this is a mini something. Lots of synthesizers.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like a real like spaced out feel to some of this when you let that synth come in. It's like, it's weird. It's strange. It's strange. I like this version overall because it like kind of hits the vibe, but is also so wildly removed.
Yeah.
And usually when you get like one of the guys who contributed or wrote the original version redoing it like 50 years later, it's just like a kind of worse version of the original.
It can be. It's such a grab bag. Because there was one, and I'm trying to remember what it was, not too long ago. Like, I would say that, and it's like a year ago.
Yeah, it's like 4 years ago.
Where like we had an original composer who did that, and it was like an evolution of the concept, and it was like, oh, that's good, but it doesn't happen that often.
Oh, yeah, that was, I think we've had at least a couple that do that. You're right. So, yeah, it can be quite, like, obviously when Bruce Springsteen does a live cover of his songs, that's another scenario where it's like, this is very interesting.
True.
But, yeah, so you're right. It's more of a grab bag, but this is, I think, on the positive side of the grab bag.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Yeah, that guitar is pretty uplifting on the chorus. It's just like...
And of course, I mean, we already talked about the music video a bit. It's very, like, COVID times music video of, like, random shots of them playing, and, like, everyone's separate.
Yeah, wearing masks.
And then it also shows a bunch of other people in front of cameras. Mm-hmm. They always seem to like to show a bunch of heads, like zoom heads, basically.
Yeah, there was like a real like emphasis on like, hey, remember what people look like? Here they are in masks.
But like,
my favorite thing though is that
in these COVID videos.
Yeah, it's a very strange pattern. But 20 seconds in, you get the first shot of John coming to sing, and he is wearing a mask and then takes it off immediately to sing. And it's
oh, you see him take it off, yeah.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing. It's like if you were gonna have the mask off, I mean, just don't wear it. Like, keep it out of the shot entirely.
Yeah. Like, is there anyone else even there? Is it just you and a camera?
Is it just you and a camera? I don't know.
Maybe he had to wear it to get to that place. I don't know.
Maybe.
And he also doesn't have the mask at all in a lot of the shots. So
in a lot of the shots, but he has it when he's outside playing the guitar for his dogs.
He does. Could be dangerous.
It could be dangerous, I suppose. It's weird. It's just
where he is.
Yeah, it's a weird choice, but yeah, you get a lot of him singing and playing the different instruments. Like he plays the bass, he plays guitar on this, he plays synth. You get this weird thing around a minute in where they start doing random face swaps. You mentioned we get all these
eyes slide over and
eyes slide over, mask switch. That's kind of the faces like pop out of nowhere.
I guess because it's hungry eyes, right? So with the mask on, all you can see is the eyes.
Yeah, I think you probably hit that on the head there. It's like, check it out. We're covering up the face to be just eyes.
So I guess that's why they have the masks on. I mean, obviously that and COVID.
And COVID, yeah. So they're making it work, though. You get shots of people spinning the camera around while they're holding it in a sort of blurry space. My next favorite shot, I think, is not for a while. About 2 minutes in. Because you've got him singing, and then this woman just superimposed out his window. So she looks like a giant because it's just her face.
Yeah, he's getting attacked by giants.
Yeah. It's a pretty classic moment. And then you get another great shot around 2:40, a little before that. 2:35, he's playing. We get this woman's eyes superimposed over the shots of him playing. We then get that same photo of the woman superimposed over that photo of the woman.
Oh man, I wish I had seen this ahead of time. There's some moments in this video.
There's some good moments. Yeah, you get like a collage of faces at the end. It's like we talked about. It was Karen Korb a couple weeks back for Power of Love. It's like the same,
right? And
video.
She was like in a forest the whole time and just like walking some of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Kristen Korb, my bad. But yeah, she it was a very similar vibe of like, here's people. It's clearly the pandemic. This is our song.
Right. What a time.
Let's talk again about a band we talked about before, from all the way from Steel Town. It's Moonlight Desire in 2020.
Moonlight Desire. Yes, we have talked about them. Steel Town, in this case, being Hamilton, Ontario.
Yes. As we mentioned last time, there are several Steel Towns.
Several Steel Towns. 80s hits with Steel Town grit. That's what they call themselves.
Yeah. So I originally had a version by Newfound Glory of this song. Of course, Newfound Glory loves doing music covers, so they did this one.
About them a lot.
But I found it was just a bit too similar to this Moonlight Desire version, which is kind of rides the line between like punk and hard rock / like metal.
Sure, yeah, they definitely have a little bit more of the metal in there. I mean, I was comparing it mostly to Smokie, favorably.
Yes.
Smokie, it feels like there's some similar things, like it's very guitar driven, on the rock side of things, but they actually seem to like care about making it sound decent. So way to go, Moonlight Desires.
Yeah, so because they've got like a lead guitar that comes in at the start that's focused on that like hair metal 80s sound. That wow, wow, wow. You got a very like big metal chug. Yeah, there's a lot more care with the sonic quality here.
Yeah, a lot of it really seems to be based around that chug. It's the eighth notes from the original, but it's doing that. And then you kind of get that like accented chug where you get to like
Yeah. Big emphasis on the chug. He's got fine enough vocals for this.
Yeah, they were something about them reminded me of Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh,
not exactly, but like there's a quality to them that I don't know if it's something about how it's processed or if it's just how he sings.
Yeah,
like,
it's
it's like something
Black
to
Sabbath.
do with how you double up the tracks or something.
Highly influential metal band, so
true. These guys are into Black Sabbath, and they play.
But
metal
I think
music?
there's something in that processing, maybe, and maybe just like the vocal range he's singing in.
Yeah, that could be part of it.
It's approaching Ozzy,
and it might just be like the way it's overdubbed as well.
That could be it. Most of this, though, is like verses you play at one volume, chorus you play louder. That's like the big change.
Well, the other thing they have like a post-chorus after the first chorus.
Which rocks. I thought it was great.
Yeah. They kind of go into like a minor sound, and then it's like a little guitar solo.
Yeah, a little guitar solo, like a big slowed down chug.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
which I was surprised because then they do the solo later as well, don't they?
They do. In fact, like, I mean, it's kind of structured like verse, pre-chorus, chorus, post-chorus.
Yeah.
Verse. Pre-chorus, chorus, bridge. So it's like both choruses have now like a thing afterwards.
Right.
And then into the solo.
Yeah, they kind of build a symmetry between verse 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Like, well, we'll just make them same, but different.
Which is like kind of neat. Plus, you get a little bit more of that like rock side of it.
Yeah. Plus,
heavier side of it.
You get verse 2 is sort of a breakdown verse. It's a little stripped down from what we have on the first time around.
That's true. They kind of break right down and then like have to build back up.
Mm-hmm. So there was great actually dynamics on this for what starts out as just a basic chug and sing along.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of chugging, a lot of singing along.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's cool. The guitar solo itself is mostly a copy from the original, but
yeah, it's fine. It's like I would have appreciated like an extension of honestly their first post-chorus section because I thought that was like
it would have been cool if they had kind of brought that back for it. Maybe it didn't work. I don't know.
Or like combine them or something. I don't know, but yeah, it was still can't cry too much because they still had that post-chorus section, which I think is good.
That said, right at the end, they like fake out it's an ending.
Yes.
With another 30 seconds left, and then go into like a faster, like kind of like they like rip into a guitar solo and everything.
Yeah, they just do like some shredding and jamming.
Yeah. Which is not really Hungry Eyes, but it kind of fits their sound a little more.
Yeah, I think we probably said this last time. These guys would be very fun to see live.
Yeah.
And that would be a great bridge into whatever is next, right?
Yeah, anything at all, I'm sure.
Yeah. Overall, I really like this version, though. Let's talk about, we've been talking about the 80s. We got to talk about 80s legend David Hasselhoff in 2021.
Hasselhoff. Yep.
Hungry eyes, one look at you and I can't disguise. I got hungry eyes. I feel the magic.
This album is called Party or Hasselhoff.
And then if you look at the album artwork, ass and off are in a different
font.
Tricky.
Or like they're balloons or something. Yeah, they're balloons.
Is that what they are? They're balloons.
They're like, what are those? What are those heavier plastic balloons called that you like get usually with like helium?
Is that
called something? Is there a name for that?
Yeah, it's called a balloon.
Oh, a balloon?
I'm not a fucking expert here, Alex. I'm not a balloon guy.
I got one a couple weeks ago for my 30th birthday.
Oh, nice.
It said 30 on it.
Nice.
Which is how old I was turning.
How old you were turning.
So that's it's a good move.
If you flip it around, though, you could be 3 years old again.
Yeah, I just have to mirror it.
We're celebrating the year 2003.
2003.
Oh, it was one solid 3. No, you can't. It wasn't one separate 3 and 1 0.
No, it was one balloon. It wasn't a 3 and a 0.
Right, I gotcha.
30 on it. So if I flipped it upside down, it would be like kind of OE maybe.
OE.
Yeah.
That's what you could do with that. Alex,
right.
What we could also do is talk about the Hoff, who we've talked about before. We've talked about his cover of If You Could Read My Mind.
Oh, damn, that's what it was. I knew we had talked about him, but I could not remember what for.
I've got a hot trick, and let me this be my promo for any podcasting app that isn't Spotify. That's right. Fuck Spotify. My app, Podcast Addict, what I can do is I can go click on my podcast. I can go to Cover Me, and I can search, and if I just put in the name of the artist, it will show me episodes.
Yeah, the description.
Yeah, so it shows me in the description,
nice.
And then I just click and I go, oh, okay, we talked about David Hasselhoff here. Boom. So it was very easy. We've been doing this for almost 5 years, people. So if we forget when we talked about an artist, cut us some slack. But that's how you can find it. You can probably do similar things on Google Podcasts or any other podcasting app, I assume, except Spotify because they're bad.
Yeah.
So David Hasselhoff does a lot of this, a lot of these kind of like throwback covers. It's pretty much his main output, as far as I know, in the 21st century.
Certainly, I mean, the only time I listen to David Hasselhoff is for this show.
Yeah.
Which...
Well, you didn't listen to his song True Survivor from the hit film Kung Fury?
I have seen Kung Fury.
Okay, yeah. Good film. I like it. It's funny. Great song. You give it a listen afterwards. It's actually a very good song. This, however, this cover is kind of just... It's just Hasselhoff having a good time. Right?
Yeah, I mean, he's partying his Hasselhoff.
Yeah.
So, like, very synth-based, big drums. Feel like you could do some dancing to this. It's David Hasselhoff singing, so he's got, like, a fairly deep voice.
Yeah.
And there's a few moments where I think there's some obvious tuning on the vocals.
Of course. Yeah.
But, whatever.
It's not going to stop me from partying my Hasselhoff.
It's not going to stop me from... I'm not going to keep my hassle on over that.
Absolutely not. But there is some, like, interesting things here. He builds a response. I say I don't know how much he's involved in the, like, composition.
Right.
But, so it's that dun, 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 the big synth riff. And then they attach a dun, 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 dun. So they build a response to that.
Oh, a little extra.
To the little extra there. Tag on a little. But yeah, in terms of, like, this one's closest to Paris Encore. It's like a dance cover.
I did think, the one thing I thought about it was it did a lot of, like, and the original does this, but, like, the tension in the verses as compared to the release of the chorus is, like, quite noticeable. Like, I mean, it's always noticeable, but, like, it's quite strong.
Right, because the verse is, like, him singing, very simple, like, percussive rhythm and occasional guitar chords.
But, it creates that tension with the chords, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the way he sings, I mean, it's a little... Apparently he's big in Germany. He's not, like, German, but, like, he's got kind of that sound, right?
Yeah, he's got that big in Germany sound, and you can hear
be
it.
It can be a little tense, and
yeah.
He's a little tense in there, right? But then once he gets into the chorus, like, the drums are so big, and it's such, like, a release that it's just, like, such a contrast.
Like triumphant.
Yeah. Yeah. And, so that's kind of the feeling of this one. And that's what it's going for, and it works quite well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point on that being popular in Germany. There was a quality to his voice I couldn't put my finger on, and that's it.
It's like, yeah, that's the German appeal right there.
Yeah, it's that German appeal. It's built right in there.
Yeah, but otherwise, like, it's big, and it feels more modern. Well, I say modern. It feels like an older artist doing a modern take of a song, which is what it is.
Yeah.
But, like, so it's, like, a bit dated in some ways, but, like, in fun ways,
Yeah, it's again, it's from the album Part of Your Hasselhoff. It's clearly just to have a fun time.
Yeah, he's messing around,
He's messing around, and I've heard worse from him. I think this one, like, does a few neat little things.
Yeah.
There's a point I've noted, I should have timestamped it, with backup breathing.
What? I must have missed that. Filtered out the breathing.
I think around maybe like 220 here. When we go to this, like, string section. Wait, it's post-guitar solo. Hang on. Maybe I'm full of shit.
I'm listening for it.
Yeah, I don't know. No, wait, it's before that. Yeah, it's kind of like a... I don't know. I don't know if I believe in that. Wait, hang on.
Yeah, it's like 227. It's in the bridge. Maybe 228.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, 227 to 228 there. It's
We got it. We got it.
We got it, folks. Yeah, it happens once. I thought it was noteworthy.
It sure does happen.
Yeah, you get the guitar solo after that. It's like
the backup breathing. It makes it sound dancey, right? It makes it sound like the backup vocals are also backup dancers.
Yeah, it's almost shocking that they don't do it more, because it does add a primal element to it.
It's certainly not something I would think about much, but now I'm thinking about it.
That's all I can think about.
Interesting move. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a move. It's there. It's gone. The guitar solo is not mimicking the original.
That's true. That's true. It is.
It's kind of just doing its own thing.
Again, I mean, the version, it works well with itself.
Yeah, it's like, it is self-sustaining.
Yeah.
It is. I imagine you could pop this off at a German club and it'd do well.
Yeah, I've never been to a German club, but sure.
I'm working solely off imagination here, man. Really been to North American clubs. But that does it for the covers today. We're going to break it down into 3 categories for you. The worst version, the best version, and the best version to train to. The best training version. Listen, dog, you're learning how to dance. Which one of these are you going to throw on?
Okay. All right.
Alex, what's the worst version of this?
Smokie. Smokie was such a nothing version.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it?
I don't know. It doesn't have much going for it. The things they change aren't interesting. The things they don't change are also not interesting somehow.
Yeah.
The most interesting thing about it is that it's a bit confusing what genre I would classify it as, but that doesn't count.
Yeah, it doesn't make it interesting. It's just like
not in a mysterious way, and what have you even done with this kind of way.
Yeah, it's like reading a story written by a child, where you're like, okay, you've heard stories before, but you don't know how to put those all to those ideas to make
those
your
are
own
words
story.
for sure.
Words.
Using real words.
So, and that's good. That's a big plus, but we need a little more.
Yeah.
I think I agree. Smokie's just it just falls flat. Like any other, even Paris Encore is uninspired, but it hits the mark of being a dance version.
I feel like uninspired could be leveled at a few of these.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. But yeah, I think Smokie is the worst. Alex, which version's the best?
The best? I think the one I liked the most was John DeNicola.
DeNicola. I don't know.
I don't know. It just had it was just a bit odd enough that it made it interesting. Interesting to listen to.
Yeah,
cool
and I like
synthesizers throughout, and yeah, it was cool.
I like a come back to your own music kind of story, even though it's debatable how much of a role he played in this particular song. He played bass on it in the original. But it was interesting to see a new take on it and have it play almost similar to Smokey. It's I can't quite pin the genre of it, but it seems smarter. It seems more pointed. It seems like it's making stronger moves.
It at least feels like it's doing something. I might need a little more time to determine if it is or not, but for now, it gets a thumbs up.
But yeah, it would either be that or Moonlight Desires, and I think I got to give it to John DeNicola. Yeah, Alex,
Moonlight Desires is cool too.
You're training to learn to what dance do they learn to do? You're training, Alex. You're training to dance. Which versions of these is playing in the background?
Here's the thing, man. So I didn't get it, but we watched the music video for the Greyson Chance one, and clearly there's more going on than I understand. So it's got to be that one, because how else could you do that dance to this song if there wasn't something else going on?
Right. If
something under the surface.
Such advanced dancing to this song, there's got to be something there. You're right. I'm going to go completely the other direction. I'm going to go Moonlight Desires, because I'm you know what? I could probably dance to anything. I'm too confident in myself. So I'm going to pick a not very danceable version.
Danceable song?
Not completely undanceable, but it's
sometimes
not.
You just got to headbang a bit.
You just got to headbang. That's my dance tournament, baby. And that does it for our final verdicts. Got a similar opinion, different opinion. Want to talk to us about a version we didn't talk about? Hit us up on Twitter. We're still there. #CoverMePod, @JakeTheCressy, @SomeAlexWiseGuy. Send us your comments, questions, concerns, suggestions for future episodes. Be sure to rate and review us. We're on Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, your favorite podcasting app, and even still on Spotify, kind of. Email us too, covermepod@gmail.com. Talk to us there. Email Spotify, tell them they suck. Hey, I don't know, email whoever you want. Tell your friends and family about us. Tell your neighbors. Tell your loved ones. What you can do is, it's summertime. People are going to summer camp. And what do you tell at summer camp? Ghost stories. Make up a ghost story about the hit podcast, Cover Me. And get them to listen. They'll say, whoa, that's crazy. Is that true? You'd be like, here it is. Here's the podcast right here. And they'll say, I don't know what your story was in this scenario. Maybe one of us is dead. Or we, I don't know. Work it out, man. I can't work out all the details, but that's what you can do to help us out. That does it for today's episode of Cover Me. And as we always say on Cover Me, I need you to see Cover Me was meant to be.